Join Vince and I, and even Dooms Vince, every Wednesday night at 7 Central Time on the Supervillain Network for a brand new episode of the Geekvolution Radio Hour. A full hour of intellectually stimulating discussion, or the next best thing. Vince, I can't get my head around the fact that the second Ninja Turtles movie is already coming out.
Yeah, I feel like I was just wiping that off my shoe the other day.
I kind of have that too, Vince. So Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I love that title because it's just unabashedly adapting the 87 series at this point. And it kind of was doing that already, but I think that's hilarious. Where we're just coming right out and going, yeah, we're not even going to try to have them be invisible ninjas anymore. It didn't make sense in the first. But it kind of still adds to that problem in the first place, right? Like I'm kind of glad that they're not going to try to keep doing that. But the fact that they were able to stay hidden that long just because it's in the script,
yeah,
that was so silly.
And standing shoulder to shoulder, they take up an entire New York City width of a block. I'm like, are you guys serious? We could fit in the sewers, let alone hide around and inside and outside.
There was a part of me that almost expected, just because they were so timid with that first movie, like they took no risks, and except the risk of let's make them giant and have them break asphalt every time they land on something. But even that wasn't a risk because what they were basically thinking in my mind was it's a Michael Bay thing. It worked with Transformers. They must be huge because it's a blockbuster thing. People will the idiot popcorn eating audience is going to enjoy it because they're big things and we can put them largely in the background and have the humans in the front. Now they didn't do that as badly as I thought they were going to, but there was still a little bit of that. Honestly, Vince, as timid as they were about all of that stuff in that movie, where every time they got criticism, they changed it, and a lot of things at the 11th hour. If people don't know what I'm talking about, like originally they were supposed to be aliens, then they decided to make that a joke, and that wasn't the thing. I made fun of the title earlier. Their movie was supposed to be called Ninja Turtles. And everyone complained, so they put Teenage Mutant really tiny in the top of it. I mean, like, just all these things. I almost expected them to completely change the design of the turtles and shrink them like half the size.
I kind of wanted them to do it anyway. Like, oh god, they stepped in some ooze and now they're smaller.
Well, I was going to say they'd probably just do it and not even comment on it, but then, yeah, it'd be really easy in this universe to just do that. Yeah, that's true.
In this universe, I don't think anybody'd really complain.
Honestly, I don't think anybody's invested enough to care, right? I mean, like, this is just like Transformers, where these movies are making, or at least the first one, I guess it made money, but, like, people go and see it, but I don't hear anybody talking about it, and I don't hear anybody that, like, really liked it as far as Ninja Turtles fans, but then, I've heard some, like, just people kind of in the random people that just go see movies that aren't really invested that are like, yeah, it was fun, I went and saw it, and then they just don't even think about it. And it's that kind of, and Transformers is like that too, where people just go because it's like this obligatory thing where it's like, okay, it's like a big giant movie, my kids want to see it. And I just thought of this, I think part of the reason that movies like this are performing right now, and obviously not all of them are, but I think a lot of the reason that the movies like this that perform is because they're based on old kid properties, and there's not enough that parents are sure they can bring their kids to.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Like, even some superhero stuff is not for kids anymore. And so, you put out a Ninja Turtles movie, and, I mean, one thing I can say about that movie is, about that first movie is, I at least don't feel bad that anybody took their kids to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nonsense, but do you really need sensibility?
Yeah, it's at least not vulgar and ultra-violent, and, I mean, like the anti-intellectual stuff I could do without, but arguably it's always had that to a degree. It's just more modern and with more of the hip hop esque stuff now.
And I do think that
they're trying to be modern teenagers.
Since you brought up hip hop, I mean, they did choose a pretty decent song for. That song is goofy. It's kind of fun and
but weird because it's an update of a '90s thing.
Yeah, well, I think it was the original song. It didn't.
Oh, I thought it was a remake. It sounded like a remake to me.
Heck, I don't know.
No, that's not the original. Okay. I'm almost positive it's not.
It sounded a lot like it to me. If it is a remake, then it sounds a lot like it. But I think it's a smart choice for them. I mean, and even then, if it is something that's updated, I mean, it is still kind of like you said, an update of something from the past.
Yeah.
So
now that I'm thinking about it, that kind of makes sense because they're doing exactly the same thing with that song that they're doing with Ninja Turtle.
It's I'm not going to say I'm excited. I'm going to say that I'm a little more hopeful that I will not loathe this one.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I don't expect to love it, but it looks like more fun than the first one. And most importantly, the Ninja Turtles look front and center now.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's kind of like out of the shadows. It's kind of like saying, hey, guys, we heard you loud and clear. Nobody wants to see a movie about this kind of horrible person who is playing our character. What's her name? April O'Neil.
I still say that Megan Fox was not the problem in that movie.
No, she's fine. I'm just saying the actress is kind of a horrible person. But not a horrible actress, just a horrible person.
Oh, well, no, that's true. Or at least from what I've heard, that's kind of...
I could not remember either of the people's names immediately. That's why I said.
No, the big issue with that movie wasn't even so much that the turtles were in the background and it was more about the human characters, because that's what I was afraid that I would have ever... The problem is, they suddenly pretend in the third act like we should be invested in the turtles for some reason. Like suddenly now they're in the center, and that's weird. But also because April's character arc is really confused and suddenly about something else. And at the beginning, I started to kind of be interested in it. Seriously,
yeah, the same here.
And then it goes in this totally other left field direction, and like she's a go getter, and she has a very clear thing she's trying to get, and you kind of sympathize with her, and then all of a sudden we've got to complicate her backstory and make it all about her father being killed by the guy who's not really the Shredder that was originally supposed to be the Shredder. It's just really convoluted. And then Vernon, who we see for like 6 seconds in this trailer, and I hope to God they don't play him like so much of the big comic relief character they did the first time, because nothing he does is funny. Yeah. And he's that same archetype that you always have in the Transformers movie, where you got the one guy who's supposed to be funny because he's the most obnoxious thing on screen.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is, but like, so he's there, and I'm not surprised he's there, but I hope that he's not there much. I hope they really reel that guy back.
Now, speaking of characters here, people that are often obnoxious, Tyler Perry, I've always kind of hated most of his movies.
Yeah, but somehow or rather, he feels like a really good casting choice for Baxter Stockman, potentially, at least in the look. Now, I don't know if I buy him as a scientist, but I might buy him as a Saturday morning cartoon scientist.
And, he's played, like, dramatic type action roles before. I forget the movie he was in, where I think he was like a super spy or something, I forget. But, I like the idea of giving Tyler Perry a chance to be in something that's not his own.
Yeah. I mean, he's done some little character actor things here and there.
Something where he doesn't have to wear a dress, we'll say that. And
like I said, for the look, like he's got that, Saturday morning goofy 80s scientist thing down.
He looks a lot like what I would expect Baxter Stockman to look like. I mean, from comic book adaptation.
Or at the very least
I'm not sure if the original or not, but...
Yeah, well, the original in comics, of course, was that minus the bow tie, I think. I mean, I don't remember if the bow tie was there, but like he looks like a cross between the cartoon version and the comic version, because they've kept him as an African American, and that's what he was in the first place. So he's got that look, but then he's wearing something that no one in present day would ever wear. I wish that if we're going this cartoony, that it looked like a New York City that was more out of time.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, they had the year 2014 in neon lights busted up and falling off a building in the first movie, and I just wish we weren't doing that, because it needs to be more stylized than that.
There will be the word "year" busted up and falling off.
In order to get away with that's funny. In order to get away with being as super cheesy and cornball as it's going, I think that's the thing that they honestly really should have done. But I mean, like, it feels like a direct adaptation of the cartoon show at this point, and I feel like the first one was going there to a degree, especially in using Vernon, and actually adapting the stupidest character in that show. But here we've got, and that was the only place he ever was before. But here, you've got the turtle van shooting out sewer tops. I think that's kind of fun. You got the tubing thing in the sewers. Like, they're doing all the gadgetry and all that. I'll be real surprised if we don't see a turtle blimp. I would love to see a turtle blimp,
especially now that they're no longer in the shadows.
But yeah, they can do anything they want to now. They mean Ninja Turtle Batman. It's kind of funny.
I'm kind of entertained by the idea that you look at the original live action movie that they did, and it is "Ain't no cartoon" is one of their taglines, right?
Yeah, right.
And now we have something that almost say, this could be a cartoon. I mean,
well, what's funny about that, of course, is that all happened because that movie was in development before the cartoon show got popular. and then they added that tagline. So now we're doing this in another generation where we've had not one but 3 successful cartoon shows.
Right.
And it has that legacy, but also is interestingly not the Batman thing where we've had a period where everybody thinks Ninja Turtles is supposed to be dark. You've really never had that. You've always had pockets where there's people that like the darker version and people that like the lighter version, and then everything in between. And so now we have a thing, we're in a place with Batman where you can have every kind of it, but Ninja Turtles has always had that.
Yeah,
and has just kind of maintained that. It's kind of really interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
I wasn't really going to say anything, but since you gave me the floor,
Yeah,
Turtle
absolutely.
Power is a great documentary for learning stuff like that.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. I actually reviewed that, and my one big complaint about it was the title.
Yeah.
Because it's not I forget what it called it, but it was trying to say that it was like a cohesive history, and it was like the definitive history, I think is what it called it, and I was like, of the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But there's all this stuff you'd never tackled, and anyway, the other thing I need to bring up before we go to commercial break, of course, is Casey Jones, who is played by Steve Amell, and he's just doing Oliver Queen, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I kind of wanted that accent. I mean,
me too, and we talked about this in the radio show when that casting choice happened. I thought it was a good casting choice, but I wish he was faking an accent.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not good at it, why'd you cast him? I mean, other than just star power. But
I think kind of star power.
The mask looks pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, it does. I think the costume's great, but the problem is if he plays it just like he played Oliver Queen, then you won't buy that he comes from the streets.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be kind of a problem, and he's going to be there just kind of a pretty boy, and that's a problem. The thing is, he can look just like that and be from the street.
Yeah. I mean, heck, you have plenty of movies where, what's his name? The guy that played Daredevil. Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, yeah.
He's from the streets, and yet he was voted like one of like such and such newspaper magazine sexiest guy of the year or whatever. And so you can have pretty boys still be from the streets. I mean, you just have to wait until they open their mouths.
And then I guess we should also mention Bebop and Rocksteady. I think it's fun that they went all the way to having them look like the street punks from the TV show in the first place. That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
That's great. I just wish we could integrate the CG better. So often, even just in this trailer that we're seeing, nothing looks like it's on the screen with anything else.
Which is another good reason why you say it looks like a cartoon, because, it almost kind of does.
But then just do what we did with TMNT and make it a cartoon.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have live-action characters in this movie. If you're gonna have them be 1,000,000 feet tall and like things don't look like it's on screen together and it's not integrated well, what is the point? I still say that the animatronics in the '90 movie look more realistic than they do 60% of the time in that movie. I will give it 40%. There are places where it looks fine.
Yep.
But most of the time, just like with the '90 movie, when we're secluding those suits in shadow so that we can hide defects, most of the time when it looks good, it's at night, and this is out of the shadows. Most of it's going to take place in the daytime.
That's a terrific point.
So, I don't know. I am surprisingly, though, less like... Oh, God, do I have to watch another one of those? Than I thought I would be.
Yeah, me too.
That's the best I can give it right now.
I'm positive. I'll say that.
I mean, I think the Ninja Turtles might actually be the main characters this time. That'd be good. I don't even care what's done with them. It's just,
The Not Shredder is the main character in this one.
Oh, I also love that the Turtle Van says Tartua on the side. That's pretty great.
The Turtle Van looks pretty kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
good.
good.
It looks pretty good.